We'd like to now introduce our chief guest. This is His Excellency Anthony Thomas Aquinas Carmona, the fifth former president of Trinidad and Tobago. He was the UN prosecutor for the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, also in Rwanda as well, where he was prosecuting for the United Nations in The Hague. He also is the president of Trinidad and Tobago from March 2013 to March 2018. Previously, he was a High Court judge at the Supreme Court of Trinidad and Tobago, and he serves as a judge of the International Criminal Court from 2012 to 2013. He received a World Peace Culture Award on the 4th of May 2019. We're very honored to have you here, sir, and we're anxious to hear your words. Thank you.
In keeping with the trust of the COVID-19 Times Poetry Initiative, I feel it is appropriate to use the requisite medium and genre, poetry, as part and parcel of my message to the world. The poem is called The Voice of Conscience. So close, so connected in crisis, yet so far, so distant, so apart, as social niceties and courtesies flounder on the rocks of our human frailty. Hugs, a warm embrace, kisses, handshakes, all to ease the pain. Not allowed. Not allowed. COVID-19 lurks, a disease with a number, but no date of extinction and no time of extraction. This scourge takes no prisoners. Fear rules the phantom that resides in each and every one of us. No gratuitous respect for the rich and powerful, and certainly none for the poor. No balm to the vulnerable and the weak, made possible and supported by a life of wants and needs, and a life of excess in food, drink, and slothful smoke. The call to arms by many is indeed a desperate cry of despair to repair and make right the personal and collective wrongs and misgivings of the past. Urgently now, desperate for refuge and calm, looking for a Noah's Ark, we dare to ask for whom the bells toll. Well, they will toll for each and every one of us who dares to tempt fate and challenge life through recklessness, indifference, and apathy to social and physical distancing. Our dispensability is assured if we pay no heed to what is required, what must be done. In the lives of the affected, the deadly, ominous hours stand still. A surreal encounter with a ravaging beast that gives no quarter. What is happening is real. Paying homage to the dead becomes a gift of short shrift. This pandemic, COVID-19, ruthless in intent, spawning spaghetti 5-minute funerals and christenings. Our faith in fate and the faith of faith tested, twisted, and stretched. In the face of this iniquity, we harbor a sense of an approaching Armageddon, whilst nature is allowed quietly and effortlessly to rejuvenate herself. The drone of hopelessness and helplessness hovers. The genius in us wilts and wanes with a withering disbelief that control has been taken away, lost to an unseen and unforeseen foe. charlatans abound. Everybody has the solution, but nobody has the cure. COVID-19, a double-edged sword that divides and unites in the home in one fell swoop, domesticating the worker who lives for work, endearing the mother and homemaker to those she loves and cares for, no longer taken for granted, as appreciation trumps depreciation. Children at home, cloistered and distracted by a social distancing that forces them to embrace the simple, time-worn things in life that really matter. And in our loneliness and isolation, we all finally will find ourselves, hopefully to the better. And we the people suffer, burdened sometimes with leaders obsessed with the politics of power and not the politics of genuine service and humanity. A revolution in social consciousness is taking place. Let not your hearts and spirits be quarantined from sharing, caring, and healing bountifully. The telling message, despite our predisposition for malefaction and the primordial, is that we will be made stronger, better, and wiser, not by our selfish singularity, but rather by our oneness, spawned by our universal compassion and care for each other, our uncompromising humanity, and that inner voice we often deny by not listening, that selfless inner voice of conscience. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the COVID Times Poetry Initiative appeals to the ascendancy of the human spirit over adversity through the motivational medium of poetry. I therefore wish to commend the stellar efforts of Abdul Basit Said and the World Humanitarian Drive in promoting a culture of peace through education, sports, and the arts. This vision is to inculcate humanistic values through youth empowerment to ensure a better quality of life for all. It is a very trying time for the United Kingdom, and specifically Croydon, where the WHD is based with some 1,200 reported cases of COVID-19, small by comparison to others. And despite this, you have persevered to make today's ceremony possible. For the first time in our recent collective history and memory, our differences do not matter in the face of this dreadful pandemic. Nothing, however, can stop the successful march of a committed, focused, and united people confronting COVID-19. We must do the right thing because it is the right thing to do, because of our very human survivability is dependent on how we honor our personal and social responsibilities. Every day, all our healthcare professionals, by their daily acts of love, sacrifice, and care, demonstrate that hope lives eternal. Now more than ever, we do not need a season or a public holiday to actualize and operationalize our humanity. For far too long, we have become occasions persons, advocating good things and values on commemorative days, only to resile to our backward ways of selfish survival the very next day. To be human, compassionate, and selfless is no admission of weakness, but rather qualities for all seasons. COVID-19 must not become the new colonizer to divide and rule us. The burgeoning and quite worrying new solution to this malady has become one of casting blame and finding faults, rather than engaging in collaborative clinical research to find solutions. grief, growing apprehension about our daily survivability, the loss of jobs, breadwinners in unemployment lines, strained social relationship, loneliness and social isolation, and the corresponding mental wear and tear. All speak to a downward spiral in the well-being of all. And our coping mechanisms are stretched to the maximum. Inspired and inspiring leadership is what is needed from top to the bottom. And once that leadership is compassionate, caring, meritocratic, and self-oriented, we will get to the nirvana that we seek and desperately need. The battle to sustain life is not only to be found in the hospital wards, but in communities to safeguard the quality of life for many, where the elderly resides helpless to do their daily chores, the infirm, the incapacitated, and persons with disabilities are very alone and in need of care and comfort. This is one social revolution that is being televised every second of the day, and we are privy to people's struggles and plight, some far greater than ours. And if this does not change each and every one of us for the better, what will? We must become a unifying force, a people in solidarity against a common enemy. And poetry can be a conduit and facilitator of such unity. We are in the business of solidifying our oneness through this artistic expression and media. The pain, the hurt, and anguish will not necessarily ease with poetic license, but words from the heart will. I am no bystander to the art of poetry. I am a calypsonian, and calypso music originates from my hope country of Trinidad and Tobago. Calypso music is really poetry in song. I have often stated that the poet and the calypsonian both represent the conscience of a society, giving a much needed reality check so that we can become agents and dynamos of progressive change. In April 2017, Amanda Gorman, a 19-year-old Harvard graduate who was named National Youth Poet Laureate, stated, and I quote, "I firmly believe that the arts are an excellent place to heal wounds and build bridges. And I've always viewed the arts as the civilizing signs of a democracy," end of quote. This encapsulates the very potency of poetry and the arts. Paul Keynes Douglas, the Poet Laureate of Trinidad and Tobago, our leading exponent of the oral tradition, who has shared chronicles of West Indian life through language, intonation, dialect, cultural slangs, norms, and characterization, stated, "I am interested in knowing what I do touches people. You never know who you are touching. That's your role. Not to make $1 million or to sell 1,000 tickets," end of quote. In other words, poetry can have an exceptional impact on citizens of the world. Poetry can transform all demographics, from the proverbial small man to the cognoscenti and intelligentsia. Finally, it is significant that today the world commemorates International Mother Earth Day 2020, and it focuses on another looming crisis that awaits us if we do not arrest the ravages of climate change. The call to action to arrest COVID-19 is as timely and relevant as the call to arrest climate change. I am reminded of the words of Robert Louis Stevenson, and I quote, "Everybody, sooner or later, will sit down to a banquet of consequences," end of quote. We must therefore give credence to our intra and intergenerational responsibilities. I wish to commend and congratulate each contributor and poet on their exceptional work and their desire and willingness to inject positive messages of hope into the global rhetoric and dialogue, and most important, in the lives of all. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I particularly loved your references to the arts and their capacity to inspire the ascendancy of spirit over adversity, and also highlighting the responsibilities we have to our future generations in the face of climate change. And Mother Earth Day today is also a special mark that you've given in your speech. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this point, the World Humanitarian Drive would want to award you the Patron of Humanity Award, which they're going to show on the screen now. This will be sent to you, but for now, this is a digital format.
Thank you very much.
We're so grateful for your contribution. Hey, Mr. Abdul Basit, would you like to say anything further?
Your Excellency, thank you very much. And you've always been an activist for human rights. And I completely believe that I'm unconfident that this award of Patron of Humanity will encourage you to do more and more for the humanity, because you have always been an advocate and you always will be. So thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us today and showing your support to give your voice concern towards the corona and towards our people to bring oneness together to this world. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you very much. And I live by a maxim that I wish to share with the world. Always treat people like people.
Thank you, President. Thank you so much,
Thank you
President.
so much.
Thank you very
That's a
much.
good maxim. Very good. Thank you.
What you all are doing, and keep up the great work. You know, always, in fact, continue to be to persevere and be visionary. Congratulations on an excellent initiative.